Hey everybody, welcome to our next daily geography. This one happens to be week 11 and we are talking about a road map to Wyoming. So let's go ahead and get started. It is a road map, so that means that there are roads on this map, and we're going to kind of point out a few different types here. One of the types of roads that we have are interstate highways, and our interstate highways are kind of the main roads, and they have a particular symbol that we'll show you down here in the legend. A second type of road that we have are U.S. highways, and they also have a particular symbol. And sometimes these roads come together, and we'll mark that with a square and show a highway interchange, which is kind of where they connect and you can change roads. So that's kind of the main part of what we have here on this map. Now, you should know that these interstates, the interstate highways, it's part of a national network of connected roads. So these roads are connecting lots of different states, and you can travel on one of these interstates from one state to another, just as the name implies. I'm not sure if you knew this, but our interstates that travel east and west have even numbers, and those that travel north and south have odd numbers. So that's kind of a little cool thing here around here. We know that I-25 is fairly close, and we can tell just by the number 25, since it's odd, that it's traveling north-south. You may have been down around the Denver area or going up into the mountains and been on Interstate 70. 70 is an even number, so we know that one travels east-west. So kind of cool. Now, we talked a little bit about the highway interchanges. One of the other things I want to point out here is that if we have two roads that come together, we actually will put both of the numbers on the road, and we'll label it with both of the numbers from the roads that we came off of. So if we were on Highway 191 and 189, when they come together, it'll show both of those numbers. Now, one other thing you're going to need to do, and we've used this before, this is kind of spiraling back to something that we've talked about before, is a scale. And we know that the scale compares the scale of the map to the actual distance in kind of the real world. And this scale is showing every 2 inches being about 100 miles. And you know, there's a few things that we should probably figure out is how to move that scale, which is on the bottom of the map, up to the top part of the map so that we can actually use the scale. A great way to do this, if you happen to have it, is a piece of string, because roads are not straight. So if you have a piece of string, you can kind of measure a 2-inch piece of string, and then you can kind of move it around as the roads curve. We don't always have access to string, especially in a classroom, so we might put a little piece of paper together or a little sticky note or something like that and copy the scale onto that so that we can move that sticky note up onto the map and actually measure. You will have to be doing some measuring this week using the scale, so just know that. Another thing I want to point out on this is that in Wyoming there's numerous state and county roads, and we'll call them secondary roads. So now you've heard me say we have primary roads, which are main roads, and we have secondary roads, which are kind of not the main roads, and they're smaller roads. And so if we have a question this week about types of roads, primary and secondary might fit for your answer. We also should probably mention that not all roads are even shown. Of course, Wyoming has many more roads than what are shown here, and in fact they've got probably thousands of roads that in total in Wyoming. So you should know that we've got different types of roads, interstate highways, U.S. highways. We know that they come together at highway interchanges. We should be able to measure the distance using the scale. We should know also perhaps that the interstate highways usually allow a higher rate of speed, so the speed limit's usually higher on this interstate highways. So if there's a question about getting to from point A to point B, the fastest is probably taking the interstate, so you should probably know that. And I think if we cover those basics, we'll have a pretty good idea of what's going on with the map for week 11. Thanks for joining me.